How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Average Joe, the series where we'll be taking a look at a vehicle and telling you whether or not I believe it's worth the average player's time, or in this case, their money. On today's episode, we're going to be looking at the MiG-15bis ISH, an 8.0 Rank 5 Soviet premium fighter jet. With all that out of the way, let's jump right into what this vehicle is capable of, starting with the weapons. Beginning with your primary weapons, you're going to be armed with two 23mm cannons with a total of 160 rounds between them, and a 37mm cannon with 40 rounds. Now, these guns do very good damage, however they are also riddled with a few problems that we're going to talk about. The first of these problems is actually going to be the low ammo capacity. Now, this isn't that big of a problem in my opinion. There's only been one situation I've even been in where the low ammo capacity has been a true problem for me, and that's because I had fought so many people that game without landing that I just didn't have the ammo. That's less so on the plane and more so on me for not managing it better. Next up is going to be the low fire rate, which also isn't that big of a problem, but it has happened one time where somebody has managed to fly between my bullets because of how low the fire rate is. Like I said earlier with the whole low ammo capacity thing, this thing could just be solved by, waiting for your shot a bit longer and not relying on them flying into your bullets. But I'm not that good with these guns, so I'm not going to be doing that. Next is actually going to be the gun mountings, with the guns being mounted on your chin in a very weird place, with the two 23mm cannons being mounted on the left side of the chin and the 37 being mounted on the right. It's just really weird. You have to aim way higher than you think you're going to have to hit your targets. It's more of a thing of not being used to these guns and getting very, annoyed with them, because adjusting to a weapon like this is really weird. And lastly is going to be the gun velocity. The gun velocity is really bad. You have to lead an absurd amount for these guns to hit their target, which at the end of the day is, yet again, something you can learn to get around. That's kind of the main theme I want to point out with these guns on this plane, is the fact that with practice, literally every flaw with the guns on this plane can be worked around. And once you've gotten used to all these problems, all of a sudden, this plane's weaponry is insanely strong and just all but flawless once you get used to it. Moving on to secondary weapons, I don't have any footage of me using them because I don't personally play much Russian ground, so I don't have any footage of me using this as CAS, but I just want to talk about how insanely good of a CAS aircraft this thing can be. First off, it has an insane amount of good bombs that I can bring, and it has CCIP for rockets. That's really good for 8.0 CAS. So yeah, it's really good for CAS, so if you wanted it for that, it's gonna do pretty well. Let's talk about the flight performance. First off, the acceleration on this thing is pretty good. It's not insane, but it is pretty good overall. Your climb rate is also pretty good. That's basically how I'm gonna describe everything on this plane. I should make that clear. Everything on it is pretty good, with one exception. Its roll rate. The roll rate on this plane is absolutely abysmal. It does not like to roll whatsoever, and because of this, at close range, it's very hard to get shots on target. Combine that with the chin-mounted guns with low velocity, yeah, you can see where I'm going with this. This is very hard to hit glancing shots on people, so just keep that in mind. The roll rate is not good. You're probably going to have to preemptively roll to actually even do anything with it, so don't rely on it. But everything else when it comes to the flight performance is pretty good. The only other thing that you really need to worry about is whenever you're getting close to your top speed, you're gonna compress very quickly. So around like high 900s to low 1000 kilometers an hour, you're gonna compress very hard, very quickly. You won't be able to turn at all, so get good with the air brake. Below this speed, your turning is amazing, so just keep that in mind. Whenever you're above that speed, you can't turn, period. And whenever you're below that speed, you can out-turn a lot of things, or turn with most things at least. Now before I get into the whole, is the vehicle worth it spiel that I do, I just want to talk about the fact that this vehicle recently went down to 8.0, and it should not be here. I just want to compare it real quickly to another 8.0, the Panther. That thing is not as good as this in literally any way. So yeah, don't expect this thing to stay 8.0 forever. It will probably go back up to 8.3 at some point soon. I just don't know when. It shouldn't be here at all. It's insanely overpowered at 8.0. It's fighting F-80s and Me-262s. It makes no sense. So just keep that in mind. If you buy this thing, don't expect it to stay at 8.0 forever. Well then, it is time for the big question of, is the vehicle worth it? And I'm not gonna lie, yes. I understand it's only a rank 5 and it can only research up to rank 6. It's still worth it. With a cost of 8,560 golden eagles, the thing is just undeniably insane. It is such a good point. If you can get used to the guns, really the only problem is gonna be the roll rate. And you can typically avoid people that are gonna be a problem. So yeah, it's insanely good. It shouldn't be 8.0. It's overpowered at this battle rating. It's just insanely good. Even if you don't want it to grind the tech tree, you can still use it to train your Russian crews or to get SL. It's just that good. So yes, this vehicle is worth it on or off sale. With all that out of the way, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please let me know in the comments if there's any vehicles you'd like to see in this series in the future. Have a good one.